Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Flash family, welcome back to the Flashpoint Podcast, a Southgate Media Group podcast dedicated to the hit CW show, The Flash, starring Grant Gustin and Jesse Martin. I'm Lilith.
And I'm Kelly.
And up for discussion today is episode 116. What's the name of this? Rogue Time. Out of Time Part 2. Oh, Rogue Time, of course. We had the story by Grant Godfrey, teleplay by Brooke Eckermeyer and Kai-Yu Wu. It was directed by John Bayring, one of my faves. So everything seemed to be off to a good start. And
then what happened?
I literally have no idea. I've seen this episode 3 times and I'm still like, wait, what happened? So why don't you refresh my memory with the synopsis and maybe we can get this podcast on the road.
The Flash learns that Captain Cold and Heatwave have returned to Central City. This time, Snart has brought along his younger sister, Lisa, to help wreak havoc on the city.
Oh, God. That was the worst TV adaptation since the first time Deadshot showed up on Arrow. Yeah, I said it. And I know, Peyton List is, some kind of Tomorrow People actor or whatever.
Yeah.
I just was not feeling Golden Glider. That's what she was supposed to be.
Yes.
I wouldn't call this episode a filler. I'd call it a stepping stone. Would you concur or disagree?
Yeah, I think you would be right because we had to see the ramifications of last week.
But at the same time, I don't believe that by stopping the Weather Wizard that soon, where were they before this when he was fighting the Weather Wizard? I didn't really see the connections of the things that he did to just change it a little bit that led to this. That was my only thing.
I get the kind of the butterfly effect thing, how the wings of butterfly flapping eventually, causes.
Yeah, but because it's TV, they should have had it more direct instead of just random.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. But it's kind of alright, last week we saw Cisco die. Yeah. But, okay, so we saw how in this episode, instead of, for example, instead of Dr. Wells taking him down and killing him, he ended up, you remember how Dr. Wells talked about that sometimes events have to happen, with Barry and Iris. Sometimes events have to happen to cause something. It jars something loose. Well, kind of the same thing, I think, with Cisco. Okay, he took him down to the basement. He took him back down to that same place. But the event that happened last time didn't happen, so he didn't kill him. And it changed the timeline. I know. It was subtle. I got what they were trying to go for. I guess I watched enough timey-wimey shows to...
Ultimately, you just hit it on the nail on the head, is that I watch a ton. I mean, ever since I was 5 years old. Star Trek Next Gen, that's as geeky as you can get. When I got happy when they mentioned tachyon particles. I was like, dude, I've been interested in tachyon particles since I was 6 years old. Ah! That whole thing. And so I think that's probably because they teased me with such, so many, possibilities that the way that this went, that it was only 24 hours. I know we're going to probably go back in time even further eventually, but, I was dude, I just want it now. I'm a very impatient
I think
person.
This was the baby jump to get people ready for that, because if you're not used to that, it'll confuse the living tar out of you. Kind of do you remember how many people were confused by the first Star Trek reboot? Yeah, because they totally didn't get the whole timeline rewritten. This was kind of like your timey-wimey primer. 24 hours, even Dr. Wells said in 24 hours you really can't mess that much stuff up. Really? But Barry does.
I beg to differ.
Barry does, but
He
did do his best to mess it up. But, Barry has a good heart, and he doesn't want to see anybody get, but he doesn't realize the ramifications of his own meddling.
Yeah, Barry was a little smug this episode. And I'm not, you know how I feel when Barry gets smug. I don't like it. Because it's a very uncharacteristic thing of the character. So it's just like,
yeah,
little OOC.
Yeah, well, I mean, at first, I think at first it wasn't really smugness. At first, he was really kind of confused. You know what I mean? Like, he's trying to convince himself that, yeah, I'm reliving Groundhog Day here. When he's repeating what everybody says, and he's,
Now, that would have been fun to have an actual Groundhog Day episode with the Black.
Oh, yeah, that totally would have been fun.
Maybe it's coming. I don't know. Like, I just expected something different from this episode. And so when I realized what was going on, I guess I just got really huffy, as Uber fangirls do.
Yes. That could be an interesting episode if they're going to do the whole time jump to bring certain people back and yada yada yada. That could be a fun way to do it. A Groundhog Day.
Till he gets it right. That would be awesome. That really would. But let's get into the recap, I guess. We start, of course, Barry's been thrown back 24 hours. He arrives just at the time before he visited the morgue to investigate the coroner's death, who was, of course, killed by Mark Martin, aka the he's so confused, and he doesn't do a good job of hiding it.
No, not at all. Well, I mean, he wears his heart on his sleeve. No, he doesn't do a good job of hiding anything.
I'm surprised everybody doesn't know he's the Flash at this point.
Yes.
He's about as bad as that as Oliver.
Yeah, pretty much.
I did enjoy him weirding everybody out at the crime scene. and then Joe is giving him the look like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, I inspected the sprinklers. They haven't gone off, Joe. I just got here, but I've inspected them.
Anyway, so after he's sufficiently weirded everybody else that he works with, he goes back to Star Labs.
Well, don't forget him with weirding out Cisco, too.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's just freaked out.
It really was. Then back at the lab, Cisco and Caitlin are discussing Cisco's relationship with his family. We heard the bits and pieces of it in last week's episode. I just really couldn't understand as we were trying to figure out what the deal. Why wouldn't his family love Cisco as much as the fans love Cisco?
Well, I kind of get that, though.
Yeah, because he's the black sheep, because he's the smarty pants.
Well,
and nobody really gets that from him.
Or his parents are trying to make up for his brilliance and make his brother feel better.
Well, also they're a Hispanic family, so and the oldest son usually,
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? If you have one child who's really gifted and another child who maybe not so much, you tend to overcompensate.
See, I'm an only child. I don't know about that.
Well, I'm practically an only because there's 13 years difference between me and my sister. So, but I've seen it in other families where, I'm in the arts, and a lot of these kids that I went to camp with and stuff were prodigies, and their siblings just can't compete with that.
Yeah, and that was an interesting thing, though, that Dante was a concert pianist. I wasn't expecting that.
At least for a while. It sounded like, he said he hadn't practiced in a long time. So if he was still a concert pianist, obviously that wouldn't be the case. You practice hours a day. Yeah, so...
And you probably wouldn't be living with your mom when you're 30.
He's obviously given up on that dream.
So it's just kind of weird. I mean, I don't like when anybody treats Cisco bad, I guess.
No.
So they were already on my hit list right there.
Right.
How dare you not think Cisco's as great as I think he is? They're talking about that, and he does end up taking Cisco ends up taking Caitlin to the party. Yeah. I would have preferred for them to just watch The Walking Dead. I could have just watched, a scene of them watching The Walking Dead marathon in it with, chips and big gulps.
Not calf pows?
Wrong network.
Okay.
Half of the wrong network.
All right.
Then I guess the team kind of discusses Martin and what they're up against. And Barry's just like, I'm a know-it-all. And then Wells is like, wait a minute, Barry, come here, you in the corner, come on. He's like, you broke the time continuum? You better be careful, mister.
Yeah, he broke something.
He says he's explaining about like how fragile it is, and any deviation can result in cataclysmic destruction. And I go, you'd know all about that, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
He's got a lot of nerve. Anyway, he warns Barry that he can't tell anyone else, and I'm just like,
well,
okay.
And that he doesn't want to know.
Even though I feel like he knew.
Oh, he absolutely.
Like he should have known.
No, he knew. he definitely knew because of the Lego Room of Requirement.
Yeah, he goes back to Gideon
he knew that the timeline hadn't changed, and so he had to have known what happened.
I don't know, it was weird. Like they didn't really want to like go into it. They were just kind of I think that's what it basically they were just kind of giving us they were whetting our appetite, and like it just kind of felt a little undone. Anyway, Barry goes back to work, but he catches sight of the captain, of course, not paralyzed. And he, that kind of gets him to go after Martin.
Yeah, phew.
And he locks him up in the pipeline.
He likes the captain, and he loves Joe, and he wants to protect him. And I can't say that I blame him, but it's not gonna end there.
It would have been awesome if we could have just wrapped it up in a nice little bow, and then everything proceeded to happen in the same manner except without the tsunami. Like say Captain Cold and Heatwave try to blow up the core of the Earth, and that causes a tsunami. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't. And then, it like he said, even though you saved us from something worse probably is going to take its place. I feel like that they should have still had the tsunami. I like that special effect. Caitlin and Cisco are really impressed, and then he's like, "Damn!" Cisco's like, "I have no excuse not to go to my brother's party now." And Wells has just got his little arms folded like his name was John Diggle.
Uh-huh.
And he tells him that whatever tragedy he thinks he just avoided by capturing Martin, something will definitely replace it, and maybe even worse. And he wasn't wrong.
No. Well, of course, because he knows the future.
Anyway, we kind of go to this wannabe mafia meetup.
Uh-huh.
And it's freaking Snart. And they don't have their weapons, of course. But that's okay, because they're still tough dudes. And they beat the crap out of that mafia boss.
That's right.
And they're like, Central City is ours. What you gonna do about it?
He's not too snart, huh?
Oh, punny business. It's back.
It's back.
So then we cut to Caitlin and Cisco at his brother's party. Dante is his name, and being a rude douchebag is his game.
Yeah, that he is. He's got the kind of entitled attitude.
Shout out to Nick Gonzalez, who plays Dante Ramon. Hope we see a better side of him the next time.
He's good at breaking off table legs, though.
Oh, that's a handy dandy skill when you live in Central City or Starling City. But Dante, he hits on Caitlin even though she clearly showed up with Cisco.
Yeah.
Yes, we know they're not together, but he don't know that. Or maybe he did. Maybe that was the point. I don't know. Either way, it was douchey.
Yeah, he was trying to make a point that Cisco wasn't there with somebody he was in a relationship with. That kind of made me mad.
I didn't see any girls lined up on him, though. I mean, I don't dig guys that live with their parents, so maybe people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
Maybe.
Anyway, enough of the Ramon family drama. It is kind of easy to understand why Cisco kind of felt so at home at Star Labs, though, with people that are like-minded and understand.
Yes.
And if I didn't know Wells was so duplicitous and devious, I might adopt him as my parental figure, too.
Yeah. Well, and they're not snarky to him. They're not, they totally understand him. Even if they don't understand what he's talking about, they appreciate it because they know that it takes lots of brain power to do that.
So we head back to the lab, Star Labs.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Justice,
Wells is testing Barry's speed to see how, how this all happened. And Barry still doesn't get the issue of changing time. And then Joe shows up and he's like, yo, you tracked down Martin. Why didn't you tell me? And he's like, you've been kind of weird. Is there something you want to tell me?
Okay, is it just me? Or when Barry was on that treadmill, did it not remind you of a hamster in a wheel?
Of course, it always does. Especially when it's Dr. Wells running the dang thing.
That's all I could think of was, you look like a hamster, Barry.
Barry's saved by the bell, literally, because Linda calls, asking for a little lunch date.
Aww.
Well, this time, they kind of break up for real.
Yeah.
He's like, I care about you, but it's obvious I have a thing for somebody else.
At least he's honest to admit that.
And I just kept thinking, Linda, it's okay. You'll meet a flash of your own.
That's right.
Maybe in the spinoff. Who knows? Everybody seems to be going to the spinoff. So Barry makes up his mind he's going to talk to Iris, see if he can finagle some feelings out of her.
He tried to jolt them himself.
Never a good idea. Never tell a lady how she's feeling.
No, not wise.
Fellas, listen to Lilith's love tip. Never do this.
Otherwise, there may be problems in your crystal balls.
Oh, Kelly. So we head over to Central City Picture News. Awful name for newspapers. Still, he interrupts Iris's mentor Mason Bridge, and he's about to tell her about Wells and Stack, which probably means she was gonna start investigating him like she did in the last episode.
Yeah.
So take a shot because yet another change in the time continuum. Barry gets all weird and asks her out, even though she knows she's with Eddie, which is like a little douchey. Like, I know he had that conversation, but this technically isn't, like, I don't think he was really kind of grasping that until that happened, when she rejected him.
Yeah, he thinks that, okay, now I have foreknowledge and I can use it. Not realizing that the events that happened in the last timeline also affected those feelings and other things. So, yeah, he kind of got the cause and effect kind of messed up.
Yes. Oh, Barry. Sometimes you can't let your boys think for you.
That's
anyway. Barry finds Cisco drinking away his family issues at a bar, and he goes, I broke up with Linda, but I'm totally all good with that, because I feel like things are going to happen with Iris and pretty dang soon. And I'm like, oh, Barry. Goes drinking and having fun, and then a cute woman decides to buy him a drink.
A cute blonde woman.
That wasn't really a blonde.
That's right.
I was like, was that supposed to be a Black Canary reference? I feel like that was supposed to be a Black Canary reference.
I don't know.
Cisco's first reaction, he's like, dude, am I being punked? And she kisses him right there, so you know something's up.
Yeah.
Meet your honeypot, Cisco.
Yes.
Couldn't we have just kidnapped him without the honeypot? I was very annoyed with that.
Yeah, well, how would they get him out, though? That's the problem. To go with a stranger?
Like, that just makes Cisco seem like a lady hound. I was going to say something, a lady hound.
No, Cisco's just lonely.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't had anybody in his life. You know, you think about it. You know, you've got Mr. Firestorm for Caitlin. You got Iris and Linda. And, you know, everybody for everybody else. Except, of course, Dr. Wells, who, you know, has Gideon, so.
Hey, if I had Marina Baccarat at my beck and call, maybe he needs to, like, make a 3D model like Andromeda, not, you know, find something else to occupy his time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There you go.
Anyway, so the two make it back to Cisco's place, and everything seems to be okay. And she takes off her wig, and I'm like, oh, things are getting kinky, all right. And turns out she's actually Captain Cold's sister. And they kind of pop out of the woodwork, and I go, it's not the kind of threesome he was imagining.
Oops.
So it's revealed that, you know, they took his brother, and they're like, yo, we need new cold and heat guns. But Cisco decides to save his his older brother, so.
Well, yeah. You gotta understand that, though.
Yeah, of course. Although, I'm glad I don't have siblings. Oh, anyway, he finishes the guns, and he even makes one for Snart's sister, who wants something pretty and toxic, and with gold. Meanwhile, Barry and Iris meet up at Jitters, and he is, like, literally trying to beat this confession out of her.
Not cool, Barry.
Oh, this blew up so gloriously in his face, though.
Yes, it did.
And she's like, nothing's changed since Christmas. And you know what? She's mad, dude. She barged out of it.
Well, it's funny because, nothing's changed since Christmas. Well, something had changed, but because he undid it. Poor Barry.
Basically.
Yes.
Okay. And I love how they were like, did Christmas come early? And I'm like, no, Christmas came.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway, a dejected Barry heads back to Star Labs. He finds that Cisco is missing, but he can't focus on it because Joe's like, yo, Snart's in town. He is at the Santini Casino. And I'm like, oh, too bad we're not doing, what's the ones from Gotham?
Don Falcone and,
Yeah, like, that would have been a cool kind of, maybe it is in the same universe, because Gotham wants to be Arrow so bad it's ridiculous. They steal a lot of their guest stars.
Yes, they do.
Oh, I was just waiting for that. But anyway, he's like, he's trying to start a mob war apparently. And then, like, he heads over and finds the old gang back together. And they're messing with the casino guests. And then we see Lisa Snart's gold gun in action. A gun that shoots gold, but we're robbing a casino. Okay. Then, like, at the crime scene, like, Barry gets, like, Eddie punches him. And I guess Iris told him. And I was like, what?
Yeah. No, he didn't, like, punch him. He walloped him.
I mean,
like,
we needed one of those pow, kaboom, and, like, a little
Zowie. Like, he was walking and put his whole weight into that swing.
I did not see that coming. I was really shocked.
I was like, oh, I hope he didn't lose any teeth.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
So Barry heads back to the lab again, and now he's got his tail between his legs. And he's like, Wells, will you help me? He's like, somehow everything's changed, and Captain Singh was seriously injured, and Joe was in danger.
Don't tell me.
Iris loved me.
Don't tell me.
I know. La spoilers, man.
Yeah, plug your ears. La 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 la.
Oh God, it was bad, and he's just like, so he explains how things could have possibly never surfaced, and blah blah blah. And Barry's like, I was just trying to help people. And Wells goes, well, this new ability is dangerous. What if you jump back decades or centuries? And I was like, cue Fallout Boy. And then he goes, imagine the havoc you could wreak. And I'm like, do you mean like you did?
Yeah.
Like, Barry reveals that he wants to one day use it to save his mom. But then he goes, how many people would die instead of her?
Right.
And I'm just like, of course you'd say that.
Yeah, but you think about it. If Barry's mom lived, his dad wouldn't have gone to prison. Barry wouldn't have had interest in forensic science. Barry wouldn't have been in the lab. You know what I'm saying?
But here's the thing. It's like some things are meant to happen. Like I said, in the original Flash stories, nothing bad ever happened to Barry. He just happened to have had an interest in science, went in to be a forensics guy, and that he was just already a good guy that got superpowers.
Right.
So it's very plausible that it could have still happened, just not necessarily the way that, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's the one thing, like I said, with the Jeff Johns retcon, it's like, every superhero doesn't need something to happen, tragic to happen to their parents to be a superhero. That's just kind of annoying.
True.
So I think that it would be interesting if he did save his parents, remembered the timeline, still kept the interest in forensic science, and became one, and then it still kind of happened. But he just had like he remembered all that stuff.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
I guess we'll see by the end of the season how that's gonna go. So meanwhile, Cisco and Dante are still being held captive, and they have this corny, sappy moment with each other. And we kind of find out how back their issues with each other really go. And Dante was, of course, the instigating douchebag because he started dating the love of Cisco's life.
Well, not just that he started dating her.
He lied that he was going to become a priest.
That's right. He completely lied about it because he knew that she liked him. Because he was jealous.
Yeah, Cisco could hardly believe it. And he's like, you're the darling of the family. And he's like, dude, our parents just didn't understand you. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I don't feel anything in my cold, dead heart. So this was not good for me. Was this good for you?
I got it. I mean, okay, for example, I'm an artistic type of person. I'm a musician and I enjoy doing art and that kind of stuff. Now, my mom is an artist. Okay. So one part of the family gets me. My dad is an engineer. I make as much sense as purple aliens to him. So in a way, I kind of get him, you know, I understand that, but it's not excusable what he did. But he's at this point in his life, he understands that what he did was wrong and he wants to make amends to his brother. And that's why he stands up to these people. You know, he says, you know, I haven't really done anything good up until now.
I do like how he breaks the leg off the table. He goes after Vic. And I go, dude, seriously, Dominic Purcell is like a huge guy. If you've ever met him in person, huge. Literally, like he's like twice the size of Nick Gonzalez at this point.
Oh my goodness!
Like, oh, you messed up, dude. Because Nick's also a little unhinged, dude.
Yeah,
he's a straight up pyromaniac with a lot of other issues. So as brave as it was, I was like, you could just have several seats, sir. And then, like, Snart appears, and he's like, you're smart, and you have courage, but, I only have one question for you. You just need to answer honestly, and I'm gonna let both of you guys go. Now, what's the $1 million question, Kelly?
Well, of course. Who is the Flash? Like, you couldn't figure it out.
I know. As many times as he's taking his hood off.
Yeah.
General Eiling knows. There's a couple people, dude. Iris is probably going to figure it out from that picture. Like, we need to get back to that little drop plot point.
All they gotta do is go get Ray Palmer. And he can tell him who it is.
He is coming in the next episode.
I know.
Right?
He can tell him.
No, not the next episode. The episode after next.
But you know, he's got his X-ray stuff and Felicity's, you know, facial recognition program. So there you go.
We'll get there. Wednesday, probably do a double episode. So, like, at first, of course, Cisco doesn't want to tell him, and then starts like, dude, I'm going to shoot your brother. He shoots his brother with the hand code, and he's like, dude, this is frostbite. He'll never play the piano again if you don't get an answer. So, he tells him, of course, and you can't blame him.
No, you can't.
But I was a little shocked that they had it be Cisco be the one.
Oh, I'm not. Everybody loves Cisco, and we needed that because it's kind of like we needed a bonding moment with Barry and Cisco. We've had a little bit, but that moment where Barry tells Cisco, you know, look, it's not your fault. I put you in this position.
Yeah. He hugs him, dude, and then he apologizes to him for putting him in the position.
Exactly.
And he's like, I won't ever, and then Cisco leaves, though, and he's like, I'm not going to be the one to put you in jeopardy again. And it's like, wow, everybody's just...
But, you know, it's because they care about each other.
Yeah.
But it breaks your heart.
Yeah, it totally broke my heart. Because he was so defeated.
Yeah. Who is the person that brings him back? The one person you wouldn't expect, but then again, he has to maintain his timeline or else something bad's going to happen to him, so.
Yeah, of course. Well, we'll get there in the next one. But first, we head over to Picture News. And Joe surprises Iris with a visit, but it's not as lighthearted as we were hoping. He's like, Eddie Punchy Bear at the crime scene. Not cool. Figure out who you really love. And she's like, duh, Eddie.
And you better convince both of them. I love that line. You better convince both of them.
Yes, please do. So still upset, Cisco has secluded himself away at the labs. Wells goes and finds him and wants to show him something. And everybody in the audience gets nervous because we're down in the reverse flash trap. You know, where he died in the previous timeline. And Cisco's like, he thinks he's reminding him of a failure, but Wells is like, no, that's making a choice between two people he loves is the hardest dilemma he'll ever face. And, you know, you'll make mistakes and you're only human. That rah-rah system boss speech. So yeah, Wells is like, he's not a parent, but in many ways, Cisco has shown him what it's like to have a son, and they turned that particular scene from last episode on its head in a good way, and everybody breathes a little more easy. So the team uncovers Snark's true intentions. He raided the casino earlier.
Follow the money.
Yeah, they wanted to make them move the money, and I go, what is this, Justified? Like, they literally are having they were literally having the same kind of thing going on Justified, which comes on Tuesday nights at 10 on FX, just saying it's a great show in its last season. Anyway. So starting his band of rogues. Just wanted to lure the money into an open place so they could snatch it up for themselves, despite having a gun that basically is the Midas touch. Still don't understand that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe it's not real gold. Maybe it's just something that looks like gold. Maybe it's fool's gold, iron pyrite. That would be easier to, because human beings have iron in them. It would probably be easier to.
Okay, I could go for that.
Okay.
Takes off his mask, seeing how. Oh yeah, he lures Barry out to steal him away, but they're in the woods in that dark, crappy scene that I really didn't like. I'm like, what is even going on? Was it just my TV, or was it really dark?
It was really dark, and he was making an Oliver deal.
God, I know. Oh my God. So Barry takes his mask off. He's like, well, you know my identity anyway. And Barry's like, what's stopping me from just taking you to that private little jail cell? And he's like, well, I've uploaded, a link outing your secret identity. I have to put the password in myself. And he's like, why don't you just leave Central City? And I go, yeah, where there are other metahumans.
Yes.
Where nobody can stop you. Why is Central City so appealing? Why? But that's just a MacGuffin, so. Anyway.
It's my home!
Well, your home blew away. It's time to move. I never understand this. He's not going to let Barry stop him. And basically, Barry's like, if you don't kill people or go anywhere near my friends and family, you can stay here. You're in your little rogues gallery. I'm like, don't like that at all.
Yeah, well, now what happens when the police go after him?
Exactly. We'll see how this all works itself out.
Yeah.
Because they're coming up again, dude. Obviously, and they're purported to be in the spinoff, too. So, obviously, these two have to play a couple more. They have a couple more episodes. I think 2 more to go before the spinoff gets, that little backdoor pilot thingy that they're trying to work on. Yeah, they're going to squeeze in it's not really a backdoor pilot, but they show up in one of the very last episodes of the season.
That's a lot of hot and cold. No, I'm serious. That's just a lot.
Yeah, the season has kind of turned into Arrow. It is a lot of stop and go.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that they're banking too much on the spinoff, and I don't know. People are going to have Flero fatigue.
Yeah, well, I mean, how many shows can you spin off? I mean, my goodness. Supergirl and spin-off and spin-off and spin-off, and pretty soon you're going to...
Well, Supergirl is technically a spin-off, but this one is, and we already have Vixen on the seed, so it's just like, I don't want to be Marvel here. I don't want to put too much out too soon. Yeah, with TV especially, because you have to have the quality control to live up to 22, 24 episodes a season.
And the demo. And you gotta consistently get the demo. And that's not going to be...
Which Flash actually hasn't been doing. I don't know if you know this. They've been in the 1.1, down from the 1.0.
Ouch.
Yeah, people are getting a little fatigued with this, is all that I'm saying. So they have to do something drastic to bring the butts back in the seat. But to finish up the recap, later that night, Barry heads to Jenner's and is actually ambushed with a hug this time from Eddie. He apologizes for hitting him, and he's like, Caitlin told him and Iris and Eddie that he suffers from lightning psychosis. That's about freaking right, though.
That's true.
Oh my god, that's so funny. And so, we head back to Picture News with Mason Bridge, and he's working hard on the story that reveals the truth behind Wells. And of course, the lights start to flicker, and the reverse flashes out of nowhere, and the bands know where his evidence is. And he tells them it's all on the computer, and he destroys it. And then, He puts a hole in his chest after he tears the computer apart.
Yeah, well, recapping last week's episode.
Yeah,
What he did to
basically.
Cisco. Yeah.
He had to kill somebody, I guess.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the next day, Barry and Wells have a chat at Star Labs, and Barry asks him if he made a mistake by letting Snart go. Wells is just like, well, you got to do what you got to do, and I'm just thankful that the timeline stayed intact.
And then he sees the news flash on the...
He was getting ready to ask Wells about the Simon Stagg thing, and then the news story about the reporter's quote-unquote disappearance pops up, and then, Wells tries to shut it off, but it catches Barry's eye, and he's like, all right, time to be suspicious.
Yeah. And then
he goes to Joe, and he's like, I think you were right about Wells. Da, da, da!
That was the best 2 minutes of the episode, right there.
Honest to goodness, it really was. Because now we're on team Destroy Wells.
That's right. And what does every dad want to hear?
You were right.
That's right.
Oh, God.
It's true. Every parent wants to hear that from their kid at one time.
Every parent and every wife/girlfriend.
Yes, that's right.
I'm just happy that the suspicion for Barry has popped up. So
yes,
we can get that ball rolling. Although I really will hate to see Tom Cavanaugh go if we, get rid of Dr. Wells at the end of the season.
Maybe he won't.
I hope not. I really enjoy him.
Maybe he'll be in an alternate timeline.
Oh, I like that. So what would you give this episode as a grade?
Oh, goodness. I hate to say it, but this episode was really like a C for me. I love the show, but this one did move us a little. A baby step forward. Barry knows, and we had to deal with last week's repercussions. I really feel like it's a continuation of last episode.
Yeah, you heard what I said. I said Out of Time Part 2.
Yeah. It's just another gotta get back in time. It's just another continuation of last week, so we can have the repercussions. So I'm happy for the baby step forward. The last 2 minutes were my favorite, and of course the huge hug from Eddie. It was hilarious. So
I was as confused as Barry was. I'm like, wait, what? The show's giving me emotional whiplash.
When I saw Caitlin talking with him, I knew she was up to something. She's like that gal that you never suspect.
Yeah, because she's so straight-laced.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I think I'm going to agree with you, but I'm going to take it one step further and call it a C-. Like I said, it just wasn't what I was expecting. I get the butterfly theory, but for TV specifically, it should be they have no problem doing TV writing when it annoys me. Mm-hmm. So when I expect it to be a little more clear, they don't do it. So it's just ooh. And it wasn't enough classic stuff that I love of the Flash, like Joe and Barry. You know what I mean? The last episode was so amazing because Patrick Sabonye got a lot of screen time. We got to meet the fiance. Iris got a lot of screen time. They gave us all these cool teases that we knew were going to get erased, but at the same time, I don't feel like anything really had that emotional hold on me this episode. It's just very unflash-like.
Yes. It's like Reverse Flash.
It really was. That would have been fun if they would have just changed the title or something. My name is Dr. Wells, and I traveled 15 years in the past to kill a man.
That would be totally funny, and have him run past and flip the logo around or something. That would be fun.
That's what they should have done. They have to the show is fun, and I think that they're missing the point. That's what makes it stand out from Arrow and even Constantine and Gotham. That this show is fun and lighthearted, and it has more comedy. What was your favorite scene, you crazy zany girl?
Favorite scene? Oh, the last one. Absolutely, the last one with Joe and Barry. I'm starting to think you were right. that was just, I guess, to me, it was the moment where, all right, now we're gonna get down to business. We're gonna get somewhere now. We're on the same page again.
I that is my runner up. My first favorite scene, of course, is in Dr. Wells. I really did appreciate how they turned that particular scene on its head.
Yeah, that was nice.
And I'm just glad that my baby Cisco is safe.
Yay, for now.
I swear we just need to cut to him in the basin making the vibe suit. Like, I don't think that Cisco has to be a metahuman. Like, Caitlin definitely does, but Cisco could be all his own tech. Like, Barry inspires him to be a hero.
Yeah.
And I really feel like maybe that's the route we're gonna go.
Maybe Ray will help him.
Ooh, he steals some of his suit crap.
And he could hack Felicity's. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope we kind of find out that that's the case when they do it in All-Star Team Up, which is 318, which is the one right after the trickster. I mean,
or maybe Felicity happened to leave something accidentally on purpose.
Favorite line?
Oh, I would say it would probably be the lightning psychosis.
Yes, me too. Oh my god, because it was so funny. It was so funny. And Barry's like,
oh, thanks for saving me. You can see the little wheels turning in his head.
Speaking of that, my favorite moment had to be when Eddie just hugged him out of nowhere.
Yes, that was hilarious.
That was punch. Like, the two Eddie things in this episode were great, because I totally didn't see either one of those things coming.
Polar opposites. But
hot and cold.
Right.
What was your favorite moment?
You know, I thought it was pretty cool though when Cisco's brother basically said, I was jealous of you. And he kind of confessed to him about, all the stuff he'd done and everything, but that he wanted to be better. I thought that was pretty cool.
Anyway, well, yeah, time for shameless plugs and self-promotion. You can find this podcast on Twitter at flashpoint_SMG. You can email us at flashpoint.smg@gmail.com. You can find us on Tumblr at theflashpodcast.tumblr.com. Oh, but be sure to check out our network's home on the web, which is www.southgatemediagroup.com. It has a list of all our podcasts. We're at 60 plus, 2 Gotham podcasts, 3 Flash podcasts, 2 Arrow podcasts, 2 Constantine podcasts, a huge number of shows dedicated to comic books and comic book TV shows, plus a podcast for Pinterest and everything in between. So, plus blogs. We have a lot going on over there, so please be sure to check it out.
Make sure you download.
And do not stream the podcast. And also, if you could rate, review as well, that would be great. Help us move up the charts and help other people find us.
Oh, don't forget to subscribe.
Oh, of course. We're also on Stitcher and just pretty much any place that you can find a podcast, we're pretty much listening.
And Southgate Media does have an awesome iTunes provider page too, so check it out.
Where can they find you on the interwebs, Miss Kelly?
Oh, goodness. I'm all over the interwebs. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and just about anywhere else at Super Squint. That's SuperSquint. I also write for voiceoftv.com. And you can hear me also co-hosting with Tyler and Phil on Before the Bat. And, of course, Queen Consolidated with the lovely Miss Lilith.
Of course. And you guys know you can find me on Channel 52 as well with At the Flash Diaries, a.k.a. Charlie, every Sunday afternoon. Be sure to check the feed. So that about does it. It'll be next Tuesday, literally before you know it, Kelly. And we'll be
back in a flash.